The Swedish climate change movement is called Fridays for Future. So, yeah, the school strike was happening every Friday, so that was one of the clues. And for introduction, I'm Ashita Riyadh from GEMS Winchester, and I reside in Dubai, UAE, and today we'll be talking about climate change movement in Sweden. Okay, so what will we be covering in this movement, in this presentation? So first we'll be talking about some of the events that started the movement and how it began, and we'll be talking about the key events of this movement and the impact on Sweden and on it globally. Okay, so let us take a look at some of the events that sparked the movement. So the first one is that one of the biggest advantage Greta Thunberg had, who actually started the movement, was that her protest began just after the heat waves and wildfires in Sweden during the hottest summer, which quickly made Greta's point get across her audience much quicker. And the second thing that Greta did was a small thing which made a great impact, was that she persuaded her parents in convincing them to, get used to the lifestyle that will decrease their carbon footprint, which was eventually followed by others when Greta protested. The future of climate change unveiled. So first, Greta Thunberg in August 2018, she sat in front of the Riksdag Parliament and she skipped school every Friday to protest for climate change action. Eventually, other students also followed in her footsteps and they skipped school to protest outside the parliament for more action. This regained media attention, and obviously, through that, the whole point of the protest went globally, and then it became a formal protest every Friday. She and the environment activists also challenged the world leaders to take immediate action for climate change. Let us look at the key event of this movement, the school strike. Well, the school strike is the movement. More than 17,000 students in 24 different countries were increased to 2 million people across 135 students. The next one is globalizing school strikes. Through media attention, it eventually went through the whole world, and students from all around the world started protesting outside to take action on climate change. So, how did this movement specifically bring an impact on Sweden? The government started focusing and putting its main goal on making the country going fossil free by 2045 and 100% renewable energy. The Sweden government also aims to reduce 30% of greenhouse gas emissions, and not only the young activists started protesting for climate change action, but also the senior citizens through Greta's Gammalingar, which was a group for the adult activists. Some of the pertaining goals of the movement are climate smart cities, sustainable housing, and green innovation generation, which Sweden aims to fulfill by 2050. The government will also support for the movement to solve the main global crisis of climate change. And the most important thing is that the world started to realize how serious this problem is while we're taking issues, at many other different things. And now today, Sweden stands to be one of the most sustainable countries in the whole world. Let us take how the movement, evolved throughout time. Greta started to be more engaged with the movement, and obviously other students also started, supporting her. She went to the UN in August 2019 in the UN Climate Summit, and Greta sailed from Britain to the United States in a zero-emission boat to take part in it. In December 2019, Greta Thunberg gave a speech at the UN Conference of the Parties 25 summit. And ever since COVID breakout, that didn't stop the environment activists to protest against climate change and for protesting for government to take action. So they did a school strike digitally with the hashtag #ClimateStrikeOnline. So let us take some of the views on Greta. First would be mine. I had personally witnessed the Greta's protest in 2018 when I was in Sweden, when I took a train from Gothenburg to Stockholm. and I was on my way to King's Garden. So I saw some students, including Greta, holding boards and protesting against the government. And there were authorities and officials telling us to, move along and, get away from the protest because it was that severe. They were so angry. They were angry teenagers who wanted this climate change problem to actually be solved by the government. I was young at that time, but then when I came back to Dubai and saw in the news in December when she gave this speech in the UN Climate Summit, she was in the news and I saw it, and it brought a really huge impact on me, on my actions that I have been taking, in my school, in my place, and a lot of sustainability actions that I have been participating in. You have achieved things that many others failed to do. You have aroused the world. I'm grateful for you. This is said by David Attenborough, who is also a climate change activist who wants to support Greta because of her actions that was taken for the protest. One person, one voice who made a difference. Every country, every community, every school, every friendship group, every family needs their own Greta, was said by Prince Harry, who is the Duke of Sussex, and he said it during the Onside Awards in 2019. But not all of them were supporting Greta fully, positively. There were negative remarks as well. For example, Donald Trump commented on her poor anger work management problem, and Vladimir Putin, who is president of Russia, described her as a kind but poorly informed teenager. So this is the main thing, okay? It has evolved from Sweden, just one country, to a whole global perspective. And since Greta has protested against the parliament to take action on climate change, the whole world came to call it as the Greta effect, where students were skipping school to protest every Friday to take climate change action. Because she inspired the legions of youth and adult activists since her first protest, when she began skipping school on Fridays to protest outside the Riksdag Parliament. And thousands of young people in Fridays for Future now strike every Friday to demand more aggressive action on climate change for the government to take it. The large-scale coordinated climate strike on May 24, there were participants from over 130 countries. And Fridays for Future is the biggest movement till now, with 2,500 events scheduled in over 150 countries. This is because people have been focusing on the most powerful theme, that youngsters are at a larger stake in a world reshaped with climate change. Okay, so this is the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for your attention, and I suggest you all not to follow Greta, but hold hands together and try to solve the climate change issue through sustainability. Thank you.